This is the video lecture for section 6.3. In 6.2, we talked about factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Now we're going to talk about how we factor a trinomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not 1. So we're going to talk about the grouping method. So if possible, we always factor out the greatest common factor. We've talked about that before. Then we find a pair of integers whose product this time is a times c and whose sum is the b term. Then we write the trinomial as a 4-term polynomial using the integers from step 2 to split up the b term. Or sometimes we say bust the b. Then we factor by grouping, which we also talked about in the previous video. And of course, we can then multiply everything out to check. So note, this is only slightly different from what we did last time. And polynomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c, which is what we talked about last time, can also actually be factored this way we're about to learn. So, for example, on number 1, we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So the 2 is our a, the b is 5, and c is 3. So the first thing we need to do is do a times c. So that is 2 times 3, which is 6. Now we need to find all the things that multiply to give us 6. So that's 1 and 6, -1 and -6, because remember, multiplying two negatives gives us a positive. We also have 2 and 3, or -2 and -3. And we need to find the combination that adds up to give us positive 5. So 1 and 6, that adds to give us 7. So that's not it. -1 and -6 is -7. That's also not it. Positive 2 and positive 3 gives us positive 5. So that's the combination we want. So here's where we bust the b. So we're going to write 2x squared. Our first term stays the same. This is the bust the b. So instead of writing plus 5x, we're going to write plus 2x plus 3x. And those two numbers, the 2 and the 3, came from our a times c that factors. And then we just put our c term on the end, so the plus 3. Now we're going to factor this by grouping. So we're going to group the first two terms, and we're going to group the second two terms. So we factor out the common factor in the first parentheses, which is a 2x, which leaves us with an x plus 1. And then plus the common factor from the second group is 3, which leaves us an x plus 1. Now, if you notice, we have an x plus 1 in the first term and an x plus 1 in the second term. So we can factor out the x plus 1, and that leaves us with 2x from the first term and 3 from the second term. So 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 factors into x plus 1 times 2x plus 3. And of course, we can FOIL if you recall, to check our answer. So x times 2x gives us 2x squared. X times 3 gives us plus a 3x. For the inner, we have 1 times 2x is 2x. And then 1 times 3 gives us the plus 3. And when we combine our like terms, we get 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So our check works out. So on number 2, maybe you should pause the video and try to do that one on your own. I'll give you a hint. You will need to factor out a GCF first, if like the step 1 GCF. You don't have to, but it will make the arithmetic much easier in the long run. Okay, so I'm going to factor out a 3 first. So that gives us 3 times 6x squared plus 11x minus 5. Sorry, minus 10. Okay, now remember, normally we would start with 18 as A, 33 as B, and negative 30 as C. But since we factored out a greatest common factor here, we can say that 6 is A, 11 is B, and negative 10 is C. So when we do our A times C, we get 6 times a negative 10, which is negative 60. So we need everything that multiplies to give us negative 60. So that's either positive 1 and negative 60, negative 1 and positive 60, 2 and negative 30, or negative 2 and positive 30, 3 and negative 20, negative 3 and positive 20, let's see, 3 and 24, 4 and negative 15, or negative 4 and positive 15. And I've been adding in my head as we go. So 1 and negative 60 gives us negative 59. Remember, we're trying to get a positive 11. So we get a positive 11 when we do negative 4 and 15. Those add up to be positive 11. So we still have the 3 hanging around out front. And now we're going to bust the b. So 6x squared stays the same. We're busting the b. So let's write minus 4x plus 15x minus 10. Okay, now we're going to factor by grouping within the parentheses. So let's group the first 2 terms and group the second 2 terms. And so we have the 3 is still floating around out front. And we have from 6x squared minus 4x, our greatest common factor is a 2x, which leaves us with a 3x minus 2, plus from 15x and 10, our greatest common factor is a 5, which leaves us with 3x minus 2. Now, if you notice, inside the biggest set of parentheses, we have a 3x minus 2 in each term. So we still have that 3 hanging out front. And then we have a 3x minus 2 times a 2x plus 5. Now we can multiply that back out. So if we do that, here's our check. We're going to FOIL first. So we're going to do the 3x minus 2 times the 2x plus 5. So we still have the 3. So first times first, 3x times 2x is 6x squared. Then we do the outers. That gives us plus 15x, inners minus 4x, and outers minus 10. Sorry, not outers, the lasts. Okay, now let's combine like terms inside the parentheses. So we have 6x squared plus 11x minus 10. And lastly, we distribute the 3 through. So that gives us 18x squared plus 33x minus 30, which is what we started with at the very top. So that checks out. So that's the end of the first part of this video. We will pick up again in a second part of the video.